So, as close as you can get to me, the deeper the ciphers are with the end times, because I myself am like the biggest cipher to the end times. Graduation gift was a 357 stolen in 2007. There's 357 verses in the book of Daniel. My original address when I was born was 404 Lime Street, probably where I was conceived. 404 verses in the book of Revelation. When you add 357 plus 404, you get 761. That's a fusion of my birthday. I'm born 7/6, 1961. 761 was coded in the dark night on a license tag, followed by just 2 minutes later. I've done videos on that. If you want it, just ask for it. I'll message it to you if you're on Facebook, or I'll place it in the comments if you ask for it in the comments. But I documented in the Dark Knight how 761 and 135 were in back-to-back license tags. And the 135th prime number is 761. So 135 is big, but 761 is gigantic as far as end time ciphers. And again, that's the amount of verses in the two end times gospels and a fusion of my birthday. So when I talk about personal ciphers, so people that are then close to me, the closer you are to me or anybody, anything that comes into my life, I feel like the Lord put them in my life or put it in my life. So I'm going to look at that as a timestamp and a cipher. So I know somebody, so my number is 7 times 6 times 1961. And I know somebody whose number is 113886. And if you look at that, One World Trade Tower opened on 11/3. 138 is the future Antichrist name in simple gematria without the middle initial. 38 is death and murder in the four base ciphers. 88 is his last name in simple gematria. 86 means to eliminate. So it's basically death and rising. Rising more up front, the death towards the end. So it's kind of a reversal there. But all their numbers are right there. And me and that person, we have a midpoint. I look at midpoint dates because the Lord showed us midpoints are very important because there was a total solar eclipse on the exact midpoint of the two total solar eclipses that made the X across America. So if we were to take a look at that, let me see here. So let's go to 2017 on 8/21. And we go to April 8th, 2024. And those were the two total solar eclipses. The two total solar eclipses that made an X across America. And so there it is, August 21st and April 8th. Intersection, Carbondale, Illinois. Well, if you look for an image, that one there's usually the best. Up here where my cursor is, shows the X. Well, the exact midpoint of those two dates, August 21st, 2017, and April 8th, 2024, like we were showing you, that is 2422 days. Cut that in half. 1, 2, 1, 1 days, or the exact midpoint. December 14th, 2020, the exact midpoint. There was also a total solar eclipse on that day. So midpoints matter. Total solar eclipse, December 14th, 2020. So there it is, December 14th, 2020. That happened to be when the person that won the election got his electoral college votes on that day. That was also the first day that the therapy was administered to a lady and then a man named Bill Shakespeare, aka William Shakespeare, who quoted "All the world's a stage." So midpoints matter. So me and this person who has this miraculous number that deals with the end time right eye wound event. Remember, One World Trade Tower opened on 11/3, representing rising of the twins going down. Our midpoint is November 12th, 1979. So you can figure out their birthday if you do the math. Now, sometimes you have to add a day. In this case, we had to add both dates together, included in the math, in order to make it an even number, so you can divide it by 2 and cut it in half. Perfectly acceptable. So our midpoint falls on November 12th, 1979. 79 is murder in simple gematria. The 97 is also in there, 1979. 97th verse is the opening of the seal. Revelation 6:1 and 6:2 is where this all begins for us in real time. The rider on the white horse receiving a crown is his rising on the third day as Satan possesses the body. After the body double or clone takes this right eye wound, the right eye wound of Zechariah 11:17. And we know in the movie The Groundhog Day, they did put Heidi 2 up on the movie marquee. There was no Heidi 2. There was just the Heidi Bowl on 11/17/1968. The right-eyed, utterly darkened Raiders playing the Jets, which the Jets, what's killed Donnie Darko, and the Jets brought down the Twins. And remember, that was Tower 1, Tower 2, and Tower 7. And the opening of One World Trade Tower, the opening of the World Trade Center, April 4th, 1973. And there it is. And that represents 404 verses of Revelation, April 4th, 4/4. And the year is 1973. I started looking at this 2001 A Space Odyssey song, and it was released, according to Wikipedia, I guess I already got rid of it. So, also Zach Zaruthra, Wikipedia. I didn't pronounce it correctly. Sorry. November 28th, 1896. It's the 2001 A Space Odyssey song. And when I ran it in Gematria, it spells out October 26th. Spelling it out, like spelling out 20 and spelling out SIAXTH, which I would say is a high watch day. But the reason why 11/12 is bigger, I always run 37 progressions. 37 is the 12th prime number. 12 is the number for the church, so 37 is the prime number for the church, and it divides into 666, 888, 999, 111, all of them, 222, 333, 444. It's funny, I played for Teamsters 444. Anyway, in Little League, Those that remember, remember. Um, it actually, yes, it spells out, the title of that song spells out October 26th, but its 37, its next 37 progression falls on November 12th. And I was like, wow, that's the midpoint of this person I know very well. And I. And me and this person, if you look at what was it? When you ran, me and this person met. We met up and we had dinner in their area code. Exactly 1, 6, 6, 7, 8 days from our midpoint. Cut to my number times this year is 1, 6, 6, 7, 8, followed by 305, which happens to be the area code where we met. That matter of fact, that area is known as the 305. And I showed this person this, and I said, that's supernatural math right there. I said, because you actually picked the date when I would be able to come visit. So when this 37 progression landed on this date, and it's 4,000, excuse me, it's 47,101 days, this next progression. So we run it to 1112. There it is, 47,101. Now, 710 in the heart of that, 47101, is 710 is Eve in the Jewish Hebrew gematria. Look at it, it's also 128 years, 11 months, 16 days, so you have your 1116 coded. 113 does begin the hours and will be on the rising day also. And Eve represents the church and so forth. So, and when you open this book of Revelation for us to live in real time, it represents the church. It'll be Eve, or that 710 will be in the days on the rising day also. But if you look at this 47101 and divide it by 37, it divides evenly by 1, 2, 7, 3. That's Tower 1, Tower 2, Tower 7. Remember, it opened in 1973. And I was like, well, that's some pretty deep ciphers. Again, these things are coincidences or they are what they are. It doesn't mean the event's going to take place that day, but this is what then got me focused on all these different coincidences, then got me focused on this. Well, day after Veterans Day. Does the event take place on Veterans Day? Does he attend something and then he's pronounced dead after midnight or on the 12th? If you look at me to this date, my age in weeks is 3,357. 357, the amount of verses in the book of Daniel. Okay, check. I know somebody born on the Donnie Darko date, which is a personal cipher, and you run them to the rising day. Their amount of days begin with 11,700. That's 11,7 coded for Revelation 11,7 rising. Check. Again, personal cipher, October 2nd. They were born. If you run Israel to the rising day, Israel and their world, how they code everything, how the AI told them to code all these dates. 5/14/1948. You run it to the rising day, it's a perfect 4044 weeks. That's 444 coded, which is a 37 progression. And it represents the church. It is 7 times 12, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a calculator. Calculator. 444 divided by 37. 12. So it's the end times church in prime. It's 12 times 37. Remember, 37 is the 12th prime number, or the prime number for the church. Well, to make the 144,000, you do 12 times 12. When you do 12 times 37, you get the 444. There it is right there with Israel. Fused with 404 amount of verses in the book of Revelation. 4044 weeks, 4,044 weeks. If you look at the days, it's 28308. We've told you about 83. We've told you about 38. How it's death and the 4 base ciphers. The hours begin with 679. 79 is murder in simple gematria. When you run his birth, it's 29,006 days on the event, 007 days after the event, or after his supposed death, even though it'll be to a clone, body double, something, or an AI generated video if it's not anything live for people where people attended. And 29,008. And remember, the 8th is of the 7. And in James Bond, No Time to Die, he became 008 and then went back to 007, performing the ritual of the 8th is of the 7. They never said he was 008, but when he was reinstalled 007, the lady kept asking, what's his number? And they wouldn't say because it's too obvious for them to go, well, he's 008. So this also Zach Zaruthra, or however you pronounce it. I don't know. The gematria, it's a big number, but it did spell out, well, it did spell out October 26th. Anyway, you get to the Donnie Darko date of October 2nd, 1988, and I've seen that 37-1. It's 37 years, 1 month, 1 day, but it's 13,555 days. And there's your 135. The 135th prime number is 761. It's also 555. But on the rising day, it'd be 13,557. So it's kind of a double entendre of the 357 Book of Daniel. That's a stretch, though, of course. It's 44510 with the months and days, 445 months and 10 days. So you get your 44 or 404 revelation code fused with Fahrenheit 451. And of course, the fire rises when all this begins, doesn't it? As Bane said at the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises. Now we go, interesting advertisement the AI's put for us over there, huh? That Chicago building with its devil horns and the monolith facing it, just like the monolith faced the twins before they fell. A big building shaped just like a big black monolith out of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So, Voices Carry, the song featured in Donnie Darko, is 14841. It is a palindrome on the rising day. 148 is also his name in simple gematria when you include the middle initial J. Now, this 11/12 date is 316, day of the year. John 316, his middle name. It is the 316th day of the year. Voices Carry again, the palindrome. The 9/11 2001 event is 8829 days, if you include both dates, but it's 24 years, 2 months, 2 days. There's your 2422 coded, which remember is the amount of days between both total solars that make the X across America. As far as that total solar eclipse from that song, wow. When you include both dates, it's 8,911 days. Wow, that's impossible. But true. There it is. So there was a total solar in the year 2001. And since 2001, A Space Odyssey opened with the total solar on the summer solstice, by the way, of June 21st. I've always said that's one of the biggest ciphers there is for this event. And there it is, 8,911 days when you include both dates. 8,911. 8,911 days. If you run that total solar to the release date of that song, 1896, November 27th, well, you got your 38,191. 38 again is death. 38 is also murder, depending on which one of the 4 base ciphers you're using. It's a big number in their world, or what I like to call our Robert Langdon technology. Robert Langdon was the Tom Hanks character that looked at clues. So I just say, that's what we do. Various personal ciphers. So anyway, Veterans Day. Veterans Day in simple gematria does come to the number 134, where A is 1, Z is 26. Veterans Day adds up to 134. Well, remember the 2 clocks of that we just showed you the other day when we were focused on, what was it, October 16th potential event. The Lone Pine Mall and the Twin Pine Mall, easy to search. The 2 different times on the clock was 116, which is a backwards upside down 9/11, and then 134. And there's your 134 right there. Veterans Day, 134. Let me go ahead and grab those clock times for you. Let me check volume. Looks like it's good. So you see the 134 for Veterans Day. And there's your Twin Pines Mall, 116, and there's your Lone Pine Mall, 134. So is it due to Veterans Day? Is that, well, just a matter of time. We shall see, huh? Veterans Day is Tuesday, till Tuesday. Again, voices carry Donnie Darko. Wednesday, which is the 12th, features woe in every title, season 1 and season 2, and woe is the first word in Zechariah 11:17. What else did I have pulled up? I did All About Eve, which again, Eve represents the goddess in their world, Satan shapeshifting to the goddess in the technology. Um, All About Eve is 138 minutes, which is his name in Simple Gematria. And All About Eve did have the 75 years, 30 days with a 753. It's 27,424. All my numbers, 27, 42, 24. And then you run this clock. So remember the clocks, the song Clocks by Coldplay. They have the 1117 right there, their Wikipedia. It says 11 November 2002, released in US, and 17 March 2003, UK release. But notice the 11 and 17 are stacked over on top of each other. And when you run those dates to the rising day, it's 8,404 days. The clocks, which opened Back to the Future. You run their other release date, 8641, so there's your 86. If we were to run Back to the Future, which opened on July 3rd, when Sirius goes dark. Wow, on the eve of it, it's a palindrome, 14741. On the day, it's 14742. It's 2106 in the week, so 216 is coded, 6 times 6 times 6, and James Bond's car tag. It's 14,744 on the rising day, basically saying 14744. 7's number for cleansing, and 44 represents, remember, 404 versus Revelation. It's 40 years, 4 months, 9 days, so there's your 404 also built into that. iPad Goat was also released on their YouTube channel on 7/3/2012, and there's your 488 in the days. 13/4 is also coded, 13 years, 4 months. 4,880 days. It was released on their website on 6/24, and there's your 88 once again, 488.9. 134 is still there. 698 in the weeks. The Dark Knight Rises on 7/20. 486. Wow. That's pretty much covered up. 13 years, 3 months. Revelation 13:3. It's the first time Deadly Wound is mentioned. It says Deadly Wound, but did live. It's 486.3 or 486.5, depending on death or rising day. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which stands for 9/11, Here We Go Again. Nothing too big. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again came out on the same day as The Dark Knight Rises. They both came out on July 20th, just 6 years apart. Mamma Mia and The Dark Knight came out on the same day. Like Barbenheimer, a girl movie and a Christopher Nolan End Times Destruction movie. So The Dark Knight came out on the same day as Mamma Mia, 7/18/2008. The Dark Knight Rises and Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again also came out on the same day of 7/20, rising on the third day. But those two were 6 years apart. But you see what they did there. It was fascinating. The AI sets this all up. They just follow the directions. If we run the Dark Knight to the 12th, nothing too big. Batman Begins was 3 years prior on 6/15. Nothing too big there. But we will start looking at Apocalypse Now and, The Godfather. I mean, we're going to start really looking at some key ciphers coming up, if the good Lord allows it between now and then. I like this date as my number one date. Now I do. And so perhaps we'll start a playlist on this channel, on this platform. All right. Love you guys.